A ps doesn't work on street cats either. Okay, got it. Damn. Someone's making fish in their apartment and it smells so good. I went to a relatively local place that made sushi in like boxes and stuff like that for lunch or dinner, and I had to get some. It looked delicious and it was really freaking cheap. I really like these box sets because it lets me try everything. This particular place though definitely was not sparing their wasabi. It kept going up in my nose. I'm guessing it's a J-pop group. I'm biasing the one up top. Him and Sono are like practically twins. Hold on. I went to this cafe around lunchtime, and let me tell you, it was the correct freaking time to go. They had plenty of seats, but actually it was mostly reservation, and I had walked in just when there was like places still available, not for reservation. And their signature piece, the parfait, wasn't sold out either, which was even better. But look at this beauty. They had all the explanations on the side on the little menu. It was amazing. It's called Maison Bien-être. So I was kind of exploring the area, even though this is kind of my favorite place here. Near Shimokitazawa, near Uehara. It's near Shibuya area, basically. Somewhat far, but somewhat near. So I walked into a liquor store looking for one particular alcohol, which they didn't actually have, but I bought some stuff from there to try later. And the walk back to my place somehow just always seems so freaking long. Listen for the upcoming clip. You hear that whistle blowing? It's a police officer that I think warns people when the light will turn green. And all day, especially in this hot ass weather, imagine blowing that whistle like poo, boo, boo. Oh my god. Hing limitation. Finally, when I see that one billboard in the distance, I know that I'm closing in finally. So of course I had to get something from the sake store. It also feels weirdly awkward walking into like 7-Eleven or like Family Mart and buying alcohol, especially sake. I don't know why, it's just like the people looking at me feels really weird. No one's judging, no one gives a fuck, but if to me it feels weird. So this store being empty was everything. I see these like almost everywhere, so I had to try it at least once. And this was really cheap and of course really girly, so I had to get it as well. It's sparkling sake. I'm hoping that it's gonna be some type of like sakura flavored or something because it's pink. I just noticed though, they're both Ozeki brand. Cracking open alcohol at like 2 p.m. Well done, Teddy. Ooh. Oh, it definitely smells quite strong. What's the percentage on this? 7? Oh, we'll live. This one is... This tastes exactly like a drink my mom and I, she'll know what I'm talking about, bought because we wanted to try it. It had gold pieces in it last year in Korea. And we actually hated it. It was way too strong of a flavor of the actual fruit, so like plummy flavored. This is all right. It still smells kind of similar, so I have kind of like a bad memory when I smell it. I almost kind of wish, because of the pink bottle, that it was more like cherry flavored rather than plum. It has a consistency of like champagne though. The other one's for another time. If you joined the stream that same day, I actually drank them both and finished them. Today we're going to teamLabs. Yay! Oh my gosh, waking up at 7 a.m. definitely reminds me every single time about how I would never be able to wake up for work this early. Also, the genetic that people have here of not having BO in a crammed subway space is an absolute blessing. I cannot describe it to you. I really caught peak rush hour. What surprised me was that people were on the subway way before my station, first of all, and I'm already out in the boonies. Well, sort of. And they were really like not getting off. They got off at the same place that I freaking did, and that was an hour away. Anyway, I'm excited. I'm like 10 minutes before opening time. Pro tip, always get the first time slot for something like this, like an immersive experience where you're walking around barefoot. It was squeaky clean. I was surprised to find that people already had started lining up, and I was kind of like, oh my god, there's like really a lot of people here, but the distribution of the amount of people was perfect. It looked like there were more than they actually were. I did take note that people generally came with like really short shorts, and I came with jeans thinking I would roll them up, and I was like, wait, hold on, do they need to be higher than like ankle height, you know? Look at this guy. I fucking died, mate. So they kind of separate us first, and you get put like this in little rows, and you get an instruction video and then take off your shoes. Everything's put in a locker, no coins needed, and you start your experience. The floor was so incredibly soft, super comfortable, but you wash your feet first, and I thought this was the only like water we're ever getting into. And then you walk into the most iconic room of all. I originally thought that this was probably going to be the scammiest part of this exhibition. You know how immersive experiences are usually like that? Like this usually is like a tiny little section where you get to take a photo and then you move on. No, this was massive. There was like 2 separate corridors for people to take photos and then like an extra one for more pictures. It was amazing. Way better than what I initially thought. As I mentioned, the distribution of people was also perfect because you could easily take photos on your own without other people in the shot or have a little photo session without the pressure of other people. Okay, here's the deep water bit. You just kind of walk into it. It's super warm. This expo is for like all 5 senses, right? So, you know, different smells flood your nose. There's music, which I barely freaking even noticed. Only after watching the video, I was like, oh yeah, the music was actually pretty loud, I guess. You're feeling everything with your feet as well, and you know, you're feasting with your eyes. So this was like one big lake, essentially. Definitely recommend something that you can roll up easily all the way to your knees. I had hella trouble doing that with my jeans, and then later they got freaking stuck and I couldn't put them down. If you're wearing a skirt or a dress, safety, shorts, there are mirrors all over the place, so your underwear is definitely gonna get shown. They actually provide free shorts if you want here, but I'd suggest getting your own, obviously. Some areas actually had spaces like this where it's just like a small room with a visual in it. Easy to miss, so look out for that. This is the next room. Every room also had like specific instructions, like don't touch the balls or like bump them around or anything like that. Or don't sit on the ground, you know, like you can sit in some spaces and others you can't. See, in this one, the point was to lay down and look up at the ceiling, and it was, the whole thing I think was spinning around. So when you get up, it feels really trippy and really confusing, so be careful. There was also areas where like the floor is a little uneven, so if you're an older person, definitely look down at your feet. This area, freaking Alien versus Predator me. It's so freaking cool, and it's actually like outside technically. This room was a little tricky to find because you have to exit the expo, go back into the locker area, and then come back to here. But when you get close to the flowers, they actually lift up, like they go up so you can take your photo. It's so interesting. I think they were actual like real plants. I think that's the whole point, and obviously you don't touch them, but it was really surreal. Anyone that walked in was gasping. The person in front who was telling you what to do and what not to do was like having the greatest of times because you just looked at people's expressions and everyone was just like, oh my god. I wanted to cry so bad. Like this crachol would just not go down. I figured it out, but with like 100 struggles. Of course, right after, since I was in the area, I had to go to Tsukiji Market finally. It was time to face this crowd, and I was there pretty early, so I figured maybe I would miss it. Who knows? Tsukiji is technically like a fish market, but they sell all kinds of stuff, and it's a genuine like market. Like people probably go grocery shopping here. Like they have fish and vegetables and dried stuff. If anyone's been to Gwangjang Market in Korea, it's pretty similar. I finally settled on something, and I'm at a fish market, but your girl decided to get something beefy. And goodness gracious, was it delicious. So tender. The way they make meat is just different. I know there's like a technique to it with the baking soda before you actually cook it, but it makes me wonder, what if it's the meat itself? I grabbed a random sauce and I added it, and it had a citrusy kick, and it was amazing. Unfortunately, right after the skewer, I was kind of done eating. There's so much good food here, but I just don't have the stomach for it, and there were so many places that were completely free. You know, you could easily buy the food, but I got an ice cream right after, and you know, that's me for the day. The next time I'll eat will be dinner. Sea urchins and clams, and this iconic place that sells onigiri, squids as well. Like this looked so freaking good, but I couldn't eat it. There was no way. I was trying to be sneaky here, but there was like these idol boys filming something with an actual professional camera crew and everything. I don't know. Recently, if there's one place that's always crowded, it's gonna be something like this. Like the tanguro stuff is always popular. And then I was making my way to Ginza. I wanted to check out the Shiseido store in this one particular spot. You guys know, like if you see the Shiseido logo, it says Ginza Tokyo on it. It's a must go, you know, that's their spot there. That's their place, their birthplace. But first, I had to go to an anime spot. If anyone watches Bungo Stray Dogs, you would recognize this immediately, but it was actually kind of hard to find. It's in like the tiniest little alleyway. I'm sure I'm come back back and actually sit down at this place if there isn't like too much of a line. But it's a bar Lupin. It's where Osamu Dazai hung out with his friends, and I think literally the real person did as well, not just in the anime. Then it's the Shiseido store's turn, and I gotta say I was a little disappointed by this store, to be honest. I get that it's a luxury brand, but I kind of want to know the price of the product, and there was no price tags, which is unfortunate.